Hey fellas, welcome to Super Effective. I'm Dash Retro, and today I'd like to show you all how easy it is to use Tabletop Simulator from Steam to play Magic the Gathering online with your friends, using no mods whatsoever, just what is built into the game. Yes, there is a mod on Steam Workshop for Magic the Gathering, however the method I'm going to show you is easier, faster, and significantly less resource heavy than using the mod. In fact, the creator of that mod himself says when you're playing a game with someone else, you should build your deck using the built-in tools instead of the mod due to that resource requirement. So, let's get right into it. First thing that you'll notice is right in the Tabletop Simulator directory of your Steam files, you'll find these two templates. The great thing about these templates is that we are not going to even use them. They're just a great visual indicator of how this thing actually works. What it does is you create an image of your deck, and no matter what size that image is, the game will cut that image into a 10 by 7 grid. So whatever image size you supply, it will divide the width by 10, and it will divide the height by 7 to find the size of one card, and then read that size from left to right, top to bottom, in order to get a full deck created. Now, it does this for 70 cards, no matter how many cards you want to have in your deck. So, let's say you're creating a 46 card deck. You would just create the same size image, or whatever size image it ends up being, for 70 cards, and just leave 47 through 69 blank. If you're going to do 60 cards, you would just leave this bottom row blank, yada yada. The 70th card slot is how the cards in your hand will appear to other players, because it hides the cards that are in your hand, and you can actually customize that hidden face that you want. I just fill it up with black. It works great. Now, again, we're not even going to use this because, like I said, you can supply any size image that you want, and it will just mathematically create this grid with that image. So here's what we do. In order to make our deck, of course, the first thing that you're going to want to do is plan out a deck. Plan out your 75 cards. You got your main board and your sideboard. I'm gonna build a nice, fun little artifact deck here that should be fun to play with. And so yeah, just plan that out, and then bring up your favorite web browser and go to this site. All right, it's really cool. It's called magiccards.info. magiccards.info. This is a database of every single print of every single Magic card scanned. So you can use something like Gatherer that is, officially Wizards of the Coast, and that's cool. I've got my two little issues with Gatherer, though, is that first of all, the images are a little bit smaller there, so the faces of your cards are going to look a little bit more artifacted. And not in the way that we want. But also, some of the images on Gatherer, for some reason, are like 1 pixel thinner or 1 pixel shorter than other cards, and there is none of that problem with this site. So, come here, and so let's just hop over here and query the first card that we want in our deck. And what you get is a scan of the card, and then over here we've got this card from each different set that it's ever been printed in. Or let's say we have a card that has been printed multiple times in the same set, like a land card, and what you'll end up with is not only the sets over here, but then above that, each printing within that set, even with the artist marked down. So this is just a great resource for anyone who's into Magic. And the reason that I really like using this for the deck editor, again, is that the cards, not only are they just a little bit, these images are a little bit bigger than what's in Gatherer, but they are perfectly uniform. Every single card that you look up is going to have the same exact aspect ratio. And not even aspect ratio. It's going to have the same exact size. So I'm going to grab the M10 Ornithopter since I like the art and the card frame of it. And now what you can do is just right-click this image, hit Copy Image, and then bring up Paint or your Mac or Linux equivalent, or just whatever your favorite simple image editing tool is, and paste that card in. And you can just paste these side by side real nice and easily. And just remember that the image in the end that you want to create is, no matter how many cards are in your deck, 10 by 7. So actually the smartest thing to do, if you're doing it this way, would be to just paste one card in, take a look at the size of your canvas, 312 by 445, that's the size of a single card that you get off the site. Every single card you get off the site is going to be 312 by 445, and so we just need to make that the 10 by 7. We just need to multiply that to make it 10 by 7. So multiply horizontal by 10, multiply vertical by 7, so 445 times 7 is 3115. You could end up with a canvas of 3120 by 3115. That's a little ugly, but the point is that we created a 10 by 7 canvas. Now you would just paste each individual instance of the card that you want, or just one of each card, and I'll get into that in a little bit. Now my only issue with doing it this way is that there is very little border between the cards, and once again it's going to split each one of these down the middle, and what you end up with is cards where the image is cut very close to the edges, and it doesn't really actually look like real Magic cards, and that just sort of bugs me a tiny bit. So what I have done for your convenience is I have created this template for you. So here we have 10 by 7, and in each 10 by 7 card slot we have the exact 312 by 445 slot size of a magiccards.info card scan, with just enough border padding to get you that real Magic card border size. Then I've also blackened out the bottom right for you. So I've uploaded this to Imager, and you can grab it with the link that is in the video description, and all you got to do is open it up with Paint, go to this site, and just do the exact same thing, except when you copy a card, you just paste it and drag it right over to cover up all of the blue right into that slot. Now the other thing that you're going to want to do in order to save as much system resources as possible is you only really need to grab one instance of every card. Even though the deck that I have planned out here calls for 4 Ornithopters, 4 Vault Scourges, 4 Signal Pests, we're only going to need one of each of those in order to cut the deck, and then we're going to go into Tabletop Simulator, and after it cuts it, we can copy and paste multiple instances of each card as we need them. So this way, even though you can only create a 69 card deck, or you can only cut 69 cards at once, we can still get a 60 card main deck and a 15 card sideboard all into one image. So all you gotta do here is just grab each card here and drag it into that blue spot. Now keep in mind, if you get a card like Baleful Strix that's been printed in Vintage Masters, I would recommend not using the Vintage Masters version of it, because they are like because Vintage Masters is an online only set that was never actually printed for them to be able to scan, and so what you get are these kind of fake mock-ups of the Vintage Masters version. You'll notice though that the image is a little blurrier and the text just doesn't look quite right. Once again, I'm a stickler for these cards really looking like the real thing, and so I would just recommend grabbing a different version, and you'll see that it just looks a lot nicer. The nice thing is that there are no cards in Vintage Masters, that I've seen at least, that are unique to Vintage Masters, or that were created for it, so you'll never come across the problem where it's the only one available. So anyway, you just bring in one instance of every single card that is in your deck, no matter how many copies of that card are going to be in your deck.
And then we get to our sideboard, where hopefully we aren't getting too much trouble from a single card, but if we are and we just want to mitigate that a little bit, we're just gonna put a happy little Phyrexian Revoker right there. And then, of course, because these are artifacts, we're gonna have a lot of small guys that we can sneak past the borders before we attach cranial plating to them. And so, by the off chance that they've got some big guys coming in at us, we're just gonna put a happy little ensnaring bridge right there, just in case. And then, of course, we can't forget our graveyard hate. We might be fighting some nasty old dredge decks that could give us a lot of trouble, so we're just gonna grab our white brush and just put a little happy little rest in peace right there. Can't forget about Storm, just in case someone tries to cast, 200 or 300 grape shots at us in one turn. We're just gonna grab Aethersworn Canonist so that they can go fuck themselves,
Alright, and so once you've gotten a single instance of every one of your cards and carefully placed it over the blue, remember, you just ignore the rest of this because when we tell Tabletop Simulator to cut the deck, notice we have 26 cards here. So when we tell Tabletop Simulator to cut the deck, we tell it that we have 26 cards, and it's going to read left to right, top to bottom, 26 cards in, and then just ignore the rest until it gets to the last spot, which I've colored black for you for the hidden card. What that means is we can just ignore the rest of this, and you will also notice when you place all your cards over the blue that what's the point of putting extra border space if it's not the right color? Well, the reason that I've made them all their own colors, individual colors, is so that if your deck has a mixture of black and white borders, you can go in and individually color the borders black or white. So in this deck, they're mostly black. However, just take your paint tool, grab black and white, and color in the borders of each of your cards. And in this deck, they're mostly white, but we've got this one ensnaring bridge right here that has a white border. So it's very important that we color the border on that one white so that it looks right. Alright, and so what we end up with is an image just like this. A single instance of each card in both our main deck and our sideboard, and unlike using the mod, which has to pull several images that are all this size in order to build your deck, or unlike if you were to put in one of each card and build a 60-card main deck and a 15-card sideboard, you would also end up with 2 images. Nah, this way we get both our main deck and our sideboard all onto one image, and it'll make perfect sense once we cut the deck why we can do such a small thing here. Oh, you know what? Just in case you need a token, you should probably put a token on here as well. So this deck has Thopter Foundry, which creates 1/1 blue Thopter tokens. And now the ones, not in Mirrodin Besieged, but the ones in Shards of Alara? Yeah, these ones are the blue ones. Here's my only issue with the site. This is where that one thing that I said kind of falls apart, where I told you that everything is the exact same size. For some reason, I don't know, I can't figure it out, but the tokens are bigger. If you know a way around that, put it in the comments. But what I have to do is go into Photoshop and size these down to 312 by 445. Luckily, you probably don't have that many tokens in your deck, but let me just do that real quick. So yeah, copy the image like you did before, open her up in Photoshoppy, and then go to image size, unconstrain your proportions, and bring it down to 312 by 445. Okay. Select and copy the whole thing and go back over to Paint. Paste her in right there. Properly color the border. And there we have it. So save this as the image on your hard drive. Alright. So once again, we end up with an image that looks like this. It's got one of each card. Now, the next very important thing to do is if you want to play this deck against someone else online, you're both going to have to be able... Tabletop Simulator for both of you is going to have to be able to grab this image, so we need to host it online somewhere. So, open up your favorite image hosting site. I'm going to use Imager, and pull in your deck image that you've made. And then also make sure you have an image of the card back and give it plenty of border, you know, or give it enough border just like before. And pull that in as well. You're going to want an image of the back of the card for Tabletop Simulator to use that. Alright, so then, real easily, grab this, copy the image URL, and let's move over to the game. Move over to Tabletop Simulator, shall we? Alright, so here you just go to open up single player, just open up an empty game, grab your favorite table, and here's the good part. Chest. Open up host, chest, and you'll see right here there's an option for custom. When you hit that, you get a few options, and one of them is deck. This is where it all comes together, baby. Hit deck, and first we want a face picture. Must be in the proper template. Just what that means is that we made it 10 by 7. No matter how many cards were in the deck, we made our image 10 by 7. And paste in that URL that you got. Then go back over to your hosting site, copy the image URL of your card back, and paste that in there. And remember, even though there are going to be 76 cards total here, including the token, we only used 27 slots. Remember, I said it was 26, but then we added the token, so it was 27 cards. There are only 27 card faces that this thing needs to cut. So, once you hit import, it takes that big 70 card image, slices it up, cuts it up into 10 by 7, and beautiful. It makes this for you. You've got your card back of a deck, flip that baby over, and look at that. Gorgeous. We've got one of each card that we need, all pulled from a single file that can download very quickly. And notice the nice white border on Ensnaring Bridge with the black borders on the rest of them. That's why I did that. And now, you might be saying, well, this isn't a playable deck because, well, check it out. All you gotta do is, if you hold your cursor over one card on Tabletop Simulator and hit Control-C, then you can hit Control-V, and it will paste another instance of that card down. So, we need 4 Ornithopters, right? Paste 3 of them. Come over to Vault Scourge, well, we want 4 of those, so Control-C, Control-V, V, V. There's our 4. This is how, even though we want 4 of these cards, we only need to put 1 of them onto the image, because what would be the point in having it cut up a huge image and grab the same card multiple times when it can just take this one image and display it 4 times? Easy. So just come in here, put in your copies as you want. 4 cranial platings, 3 spring leaf drums, 1 sword of the meek, 4 spell snares, 4 thought cast, seed of the synod, vault of whispers, ancient tune, glimmer void, island, and then we get to our sideboard. First things first with the sideboard, we want to get 2 extra etched champions in there. So where's etched champion? There he is. Copy him. Make a new spot up here for your sideboard, and just paste a couple down that you need. Now, here we get these sideboard cards. Fire Action Revoker, we want 2 of those. So first we're going to copy it, and then drag it on over to our sideboard and paste an extra one. We want 3 ensnaring bridges, so first copy it, drag it over to our sideboard and paste 2 extra. Rest in Peace we want 2 of, so copy it, put it over on the sideboard and paste an extra one. Aethersworn Canonist we want 3 of, so copy it, drag it over and paste 2 more. Whip Flare we want 3 of, so copy it, bring it over and paste 2 more. Our Thopter is our token. We just want to drag that out because let's say we're using Thopter Foundry and we're going to paste a whole bunch of tokens. We only need 1 of them to be at our reserve, and when we use Thopter Foundry we just copy it and then say, okay, I'm going to do that thing, and then boom, paste yourself a Thopter. Paste yourself a Thopter. Whoops, I put that in the other guy's hand. And you just paste yourself Thopters as you need them while you're playing. You only need 1 of them here in the first place. So now what we have, as you see right in front of you, we have the token that we need, we have our 15 card sideboard, and we have our 60 card deck. Perfect. All loaded from 1 image. Nice, simple, efficient. The cards look great. They got that nice border on them. Oh man, this looks great. Now, since we had to make some adjustments, though, after importing the deck, the thing is, when you play a multiplayer game with someone, you're not going to come in here and use custom deck and paste in the link every time. You only need to do that once while you build the deck for yourself. That's what I call just cutting the deck, and then you copy and paste the instances of each card that you want. Then we want to put these over here. What you want to do is line everything up nicely, and now you're going to save this entire thing here as your deck. You're going to save it to your chest as something that you can call upon whenever you want. Now, I personally don't like to spawn it in like this because that reveals to your opponent a few of the cards that you got, so I'll just flip them over first, highlight everything, right click and say save to chest. Call it what you want. I'm going to call it New Affinity since it's, as opposed to my old Affinity deck, this is my new revamped one. Save that baby. Boom. Now, when you start a game with someone else, let's go to multiplayer, let's host ourselves a server here, blah-blah-blah-blah-boo, and let's put a password on it, just whatever. Now, when you grab your favorite table and you're going to play with your friend, you just go to Host, Chest, Saved Objects, and there it is. I also happen to have an ally and a Treefolk deck on here, but hey, check it out. New Affinity. All I gotta do is click on this, boom, and the game knows to grab that one image and to grab this saved version of it, or it knows to grab all these exactly how I saved it, and the faces of the cards happen to all come from that one image online that it's going to grab from. And if I'm playing with someone else, that image is hosted online, so it'll pull in correctly for them as well. And then it's time to actually play Magic with your buddies, which I will cover in the next episode. And that's all there's going to be. This is just going to be 2 episodes, one for building your deck and one for actually playing the game. Look at that. So, enjoy building a couple decks and getting ready, and very soon here I will show you guys how to actually play Magic, but I mean, we're mostly done. You can figure it out from here, but there's just a couple fun little things that I'll point out to you that make it just a little bit easier to play. So that is that's this episode. That is building a deck for Tabletop Simulator using no mods. Feel free to grab my template online and get building. But for now, I'm Dash Retro. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.